All right.
Okay.
Sam, welcome to Podcastina.
Why are you sweating, Galina? Just kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, Galina very innocently didn't hit record, but that's okay because we're practicing. She's she's just working the stage right now. You know, what do you guys call it when like the comedian goes up, works it? You
Open
work it.
mics?
No, like when a comedian talks about they go in and work out, they work out their
Oh, yeah, just working it out.
working it out. We're working it
Working it
out.
out. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. Um, can you please give me a background on how you got involved with coaching ADHD?
Yes, very carefully. I got involved. No kidding. Well, I've always been for over 20 years. I've always been a facilitator. I've worked in the public policy sphere, basically as a conduit between stakeholders, which is like people like me and you, citizens, and government agencies, and also private companies, as an ombudsman and a coach consultant. And so that was my background. And I was also diagnosed with ADHD officially 26 years ago, misdiagnosed probably 20 times over the last 40 plus years. I'm middle age, so you can do the math, figure out how old I am. Um, and when I finally kind of like saw like, oh yeah, this is what I do. I'm a coach. I point people back to what is always been true, their inner wisdom. Like we are wisdom, despite what our thinking tells us, what our schools tell us, what our families tell us, and what our friends tell us. We are wisdom, and so I've always been coaching, even though it was not labeled as a coach. I was a facilitator, ombudsman, consultant. You know, with the quotes around consultant or with italics consultant, and then I became I did an acupuncturist. I went back to school. But what was interesting doing acupuncture in a brick and mortar practice in Santa Barbara was the conversation was basically a coaching conversation. Like when people's nervous systems calm down on the table, right? When people slow down their thinking, that was my opportunity to point them to their wisdom that it's already inside of them. And we see flickers of our wisdom all day long. If I followed you around, Galena, I'd be point every time you got present, like we are right now, right? Present in this moment. You were so present, you forgot to hit record. But I would point at every moment you're free and clear of your thinking. And I started to see, oh, wait a second. My neurotype, my brain type, there's nothing wrong with it. Like we all have different brain types. There's nothing wrong with it. I have a brain that works differently. Like an iPhone, I have an iPhone brain, and some people have an Android brain. Like that's it. And regardless of whatever lettered professional with an MD or a PhD or a PsyD or an LMFT has after their name, they've been trained innocently to see to see their patients from the outside in. But it all stems from thought. ADHD is a thought-based experience like any other human experience. And we just have a brain that is taking thought and then spitting it out to us so fast without a filter. And then we're like, okay, what do I do with it all? It's like, great, and now it's a pizza. It's really confusing. So I know that's a long answer to a really simple question, but that's how I roll sometimes.
No, it's good because you're speaking to how we can get away from pathologizing it, regarding it as some kind of disorder that needs to be fixed and needs to be trained out of people. Is it fair to say that there's an evolutionary explanation for why people are ADHD?
I love that question. And yes, there's an answer. And um, what people have made up, and I'm going to say made up because we don't really know. I mean, anthropomorphically, I guess you could point to it, but the theory is because it's a theory, is that like ADHDers, and I'm using ADHD because it's a descriptor to a brain that works differently. That's all we got. I mean, I wouldn't call it ADHD because it's a terrible label for something that's not true. It really is, Galina. And I'm a middle-aged dude all my life. I've been running around with this label, okay, most of my life. Um, but evolutionary wise, we were the original hunter and gatherers. We have a hunter and gatherer brain. I'm sure you've heard this before from Dr. Hallowell and the other quote unquote experts. Take that with a grain of salt. Bless their heart. Um, but the original hunter gatherers, the ones who protected their family, went hunting, brought the food, were the ones that really were the stimulus response experts because our brain is a stimulus response piece of machinery. We perfected it. We ADHDers, we were the Rocky Balboa of the hunter gatherers, and that over time that evolved into other amazing things like comedians and artists and people Navy SEALs and what are those guys, the commandos, and the special units, the
Hmm.
assassins, I don't know what you and FBI agents and attorneys and and all kinds of really high stimulus types of positions, jobs, careers, occupations, especially comedians, because you guys have perfected presence
We
because you can't
try.
think and listen at the same time. You can't.
No,
We do our best work when we're listening. And anyone that says to any ADHD, oh, you don't know how to listen, that's bullshit. Because what is true in this moment, like any other moment, is listening. Listening to understand, listening to respond. And if you listen to react, you're not listening. And if you're on the other side of a conversation, you start getting anxious, you're still not listening. I remember I got fired from this job right out of college. I was working in pharma. Literally right after, I was like, what's his name? Jake Gyllenhaal. Remember that Pfizer movie, the movie where he plays the drug rep from
yes.
like 15 years ago. And I remember getting fired and I was really I'm like, I didn't care if I was gonna get fired. It was like my first job. I was going to grad school. I just got into grad school. I had another job lined up. Even if I didn't, I still like it's a freaking sales job. There are a million of them. Anyways, and I remember the my manager firing me, and she's like, "Why aren't you getting upset?" Because I'm present. I'm underneath the upset thinking. Yeah, I was, anxious. It's very normal. It's all feelings are valid. But I started to see, and we all get glimpses of this, ADHD or non-ADHD, or what is always true. And if anything's a TOO, think of what I just said. Anything's a TOO, like if you're too anxious, too up in your head, wisdom's not ready yet. You gotta let it percolate. You gotta let it sit on the grill for long. You gotta keep it in the oven until wisdom has its way with you, I always say. I know that sounds really pithy, but it's true. Like, like you were really anxious about to go on a set and then you're sitting with your anxiety. You can still go up on stage with your anxiety. It's just thinking. We do it all the time. It's just noise between our ears and still do a killer set on stage because you're just with your anxiety, but you're present. You're looking below it. We do that all the time. But ADHDers, because we're so good with high stimulus, we can still be anxious, go on stage, kill it, and see our omnipotential, and then kill it some more. And now you're headlining, you're doing a Netflix special, Galina. Like that's how it works, right? And that's how it's always worked. Because when we're present, we always know how to do things. We always know how to do things. And we do that all the time. Like when we get on the freeway driving, we're experiencing something that could be life and death, right? We're engaging in a life and death um, um, activity. Driving is life or death, right? We're not thinking about dying. We're not thinking about how to turn left. We're just doing it. And ADHDers, once they see like underneath the noise for the first time, wow. I mean, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing because I saw my own omnipotential and I see it in my clients. And that's why comedians are some of the best ADHDers around because they just forget to hit record.
Yeah, I'll take the flattery on that
Okay.
that major
Yeah.
fuck up.
Yeah.
So, how do you feel about this modern day self-diagnosis trend? Because back in the day, it was like you had to go to the doctor, you had to go through the testing, and now we have TikTok and YouTube and all these tools where you see people every day being like, "Oh, you know what? I did this online questionnaire and it's telling me I have ADHD." Is
Yeah.
is that good that people are labeling themselves?
Listen, you can call yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Doesn't matter. You know, it's like can't hurt, might help. Listen, it's all innocent. Like if you're really trying to search for answers to why, you're suffering in your experience in your psychology, you're not going to find it from Instagram. You're only going to find it from inside yourself. I mean, and that's where I work with my clients is that I point people back to the wisdom that's always there, waiting for you to take a look at. Common sense, wisdom. That's what it is. Sense, where again the metaphor is just knowing what to do next. Driving, going to the bathroom, um, going up on stage and just killing it and doing a great job because you're listening, not thinking. You can't listen and think. So like listen, like if you want to search the interwebs, Instagram, TikTok for your diagnosis, go with God, but you're still not going to figure out how to suffer less. You're still
Mm.
not going to see what's always true, what's always has been true underneath the noise. You're still not going to find that sense of inner satisfaction that comes from just being quiet and present in this moment as you hear my voice. I mean, Brett, the thing with the internet and with TikTok and Instagram is that it's like a Vegas show. It's like, it's a sensory experience, but that's not wisdom. That's just a sensory experience of watching people post memes. And listen, I think that Google search all you want. I love knowledge. I love my intellect. I love to learn about ideas and all that stuff. That's not where my wisdom is. I just love to learn, but that's not where I'm going to know what to do next in my life. That's just knowledge. Knowledge is not wisdom. There's a difference. And that's where we really get caught up in misunderstanding what ADHD or what this different neurotype we call ADHD really is. Um, it's a Ferrari brain. It's a Porsche brain. It's going really fast, and through evolution, in the prefrontal cortex of our brain, where we filter out all this data that's coming in, the stimuli that's coming in, that prefrontal that area, that filter of the prefrontal cortex is 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 not as developed as say a neurotypical person, which is not a bad thing. It just means we experience stimuli all at once. But that also makes us very intuitive and empathic because we see everything. We experience sensory wise, sound wise, everything all at once. Now, when you understand that's what's happening, well, you have more agency and you don't put yourself in situations that maybe are too noisy or too overstimulating or too much. Like you learn what works for you with a mind that works differently. And I learned the hard way, but I learned. Like, and again, I mentioned this before we hit record last time. We didn't hit record last time. That, like life's a contact sport. Like you're going to get your knocks, but hopefully you kind of see the forest from the trees and learn how to use mind to work for you. And that's where I come in as a coach. But more importantly, seeing yourself as nothing wrong, nothing broken. There's nothing wrong with you, ladies and gentlemen, diagnosed ADHD. Nothing has ever been wrong with you. It's just kind of like, and I mentioned this earlier during our other conversation, in the proverbial green room, I say, is that, you know, a pilot doesn't just get thrown into the pilot's seat and just say, okay, fly the plane. Here, you know what the buttons do. Just fly. Go ahead and fly. That's not how it works. Well, me growing up in Galena, I'm sure you from you in your formative education, you didn't learn how to use mind to work for you. You learned how to memorize and spit
Right.
out facts. And then we're told to sit in our chairs and raise our hands to speak. Tell that to an ADHDer. I mean, it's like it's not gonna happen. I mean, I'm famous for interrupting people. Um, and once we understand how to use the mind, once it's like going to brain training school. Um, we begin to see our omnipotential. And a lot of women, especially that are been misdiagnosed or have a late diagnosis, once they see what is true in every moment of their day, of their life, of their experience, they're even better equipped to see that omnipotential because of the fact that women really search out for understanding more about our brains, about life. Like all the personal development gurus, mostly it was women that were attracted to uh, personal development more than men. We're stupid. We're more,
Well, as long as you say it, not me.
yeah. What do they say? You know, first step is admitting you have a problem. I'm a man. It is what it is. But like, it's amazing to see, especially with my clients, especially with um how successful they've become. My clients, and I have clients all over the world from Swami. I have Swamis that are clients, which were it's fascinating. Swamis to chaplains to corporate tycoons in the C-suite. I mean, it's the full gamut. I even have clients that are living in halfway houses. Were incarcerated, were in drug treatment. The common theme is that when they get quiet, you can sit in your car and get quiet. You can just still be driving and get quiet. You can be quiet. You can get quiet even in a noisy room. Even in the middle of an argument, you can get quiet. It's up to you. Um, you always see what's true in this moment right now. You always see what's true. And that's not some pithy, pseudo spiritual kind of statement. That's the truth. When we take our hands off our thinking, no matter how fast it's going, we always know what to do.
You
And I
actually
say
have to
take
give it an opportunity to pass through you.
it's just awareness, it's just seeing it. Like when thinking is too much, TOO, it's never the truth. When
Mm.
thinking is constricted, it's never the truth. When thinking is overwhelmed or impulsive or intrusive or angry or sad or anxious, any of the emotions, it's valid, it's normal, but it's never the truth. Because if it was true, it would never just pass through us. Like when I got divorced, it was so painful. Like the grief of the loss of what could have been, all that stuff. But right now, I'm fine. I'm like, if that was true, like if grief was true, it's valid. It's not true. What is true is right now. What is true is Galina and I having a real heart to heart and a real deep dive into this. That's what's true. And when an ADHDer sees what's true, no matter how fast his brain or her brain is going, they know what to do next. But it's kind of like, and this is the metaphor I used before, was the hot stove metaphor. When you're a little kid, you touch a hot stove and it hurts, it burns, and you pull back, you get that reflex reaction. Well, why don't we do the same thing with our thinking when it's dystopic or reactive or impulsive or however it manifests for you, anxious, sad, et cetera, et cetera. We keep our finger and I call it the ADHD house of horrors up in between our ears. We go back up into our thinking to think that's where we're going to find a way of getting out of our problem instead of looking for wisdom and that calm, quiet space common sense space where we just know how to do stuff. And I keep going back to that phrase, we just know how to do stuff in. Because Galina, you started a podcast, you just knew to get a microphone and a preamp and you have a computer. I mean, that's just knowing to do stuff, right? And then you
Right.
go to work, You get in the car and you get on the freeway. You just know how to do that. You're not thinking about it. And then you go and stand up. When you're not thinking, you're killing it. When you're not thinking about what you're going to say or how you're going to say it, and you're connecting with the audience and they're laughing and they're responding and you're just like one with the audience, that's what I'm pointing to. Does that
I'm
make sense?
curious. Yeah, absolutely. And there is that sense of we don't remove ourselves from the dangerous thinking the way that we remove ourselves from the dangerous physical presence, the hot stove
Yeah.
metaphor,
Yeah.
where you see people having terrible thoughts about themselves, engaging in terrible belief systems, and not creating that separation, which it sounds like you're trying to teach people or at least show them the path that they can create that separation.
Yeah, I'm a kind of like a I throw sparks at people and then I pour gasoline on them and they have that insight. Like I can't create the insight for you. I can't create the insight for anybody, but I point to what's true in this thing called mind, thought, and consciousness, which are how we work as human beings. Mind is we have this personal mind that loves us and wants to keep us alive, but it doesn't know better, right? It's an evolutionary mind. It's old equipment. It's a brain that hasn't really had a software update since like the Paleolithic era. It's old stuff, right? It's like the air traffic controller equipment. It's old, antiquated equipment. We need to update it, but that's what we got. Okay. And then we have this thing called big mind, right? That's the space that I'm pointing, that common sense space where Galina just kills it on stage, where she just makes her audience is just laughing and laughing. And she's just like, it's that holy moment. It's the sweet spot in the tennis racket.
Mm.
It's the first puff of a cigarette when I used to smoke. It's that first puff of a cigarette. And it's just, mm. It's tiramisu, really good tiramisu,
Ooh,
right?
yeah.
Yes. It's like unconditional love. It's real love, not chemical love. That's personal mind stuff, right? It's the just it's I just know space. It's like like when you're about to just like you apply for a job and you just know you got it and you didn't even show up perfectly. Like I have a colleague that's an actor, of course, Southern California. I mean, and there were times when he tried out for parts and he really kind of studied it and he thought he nailed it, but he didn't get the job. And he's like, "Why didn't I get it?" He's like, "Well, you just didn't get it. We wanted somebody else." And then he like shows up for another what do you call it?
Audition.
Audition. Thank you. Another audition, and he's like not perfect. He wasn't perfect. He just showed up. I call it a come as you are party. He just showed up and he just did his best. He didn't think about it, and he got the part. Right? Like my book, I wrote a book. I'm like, how the hell can ADHD is writing books? It's kind of scary. Like, you figure it would take like a couple lifetimes to finish the book.
Mhm.
But I wrote a book and it's doing really well. And I didn't really like overthink it. I just did it. And I'm like, I'm gonna put it out in the world. It may or may not sell, it may or may not do well, and it's doing really well. My point is that's the space I put my clients to. It's that common sense space. Like, nobody gets out of here alive ever. It's like the Jim Morrison quote, right? But we can do some really cool stuff in that space between, even with the bills and the rent and the traffic and the health issues and people dying and all that bullshit, like it's not bullshit, but you know what I mean. You show up to life and if you see it as a come as you are party and you show up authentically, I don't know, but I do know that something's possible. There's something that's guiding us along this river of life besides us. I know that sounds spiritual and pithy and blah, 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 but that's true. That's always been true. And all the great sages have been pointing us to that space underneath the noise for time immemorial. Jesus, Buddha, probably Moses, Moishe, who, like
Mhm.
that's what's on offer. And when my clients start to see like, um, oh yeah, there's something else that's keeping me alive besides like we don't know how we're alive. I know we're getting off topic, but it's true. Like, so I have this ADHD label. I have a brain that works differently, but who told me that I can't do these things? Yeah, my brain's really noisy. Okay. So what? Your brain's noisy. You still show up and know how to do stuff. I mean, or not. But you do have free will to decide what you want to believe. The noisy brain or truth. And truth is not found in your intellect. Truth is not found in your thoughts. And we are reminded of what truth looks like every single day alive. And if I followed you around, Galina, during the day, and I point to every single moment that you're present to what is, and you know how to do stuff, and your friends will can point you like, "Oh my God, Galina, you killed it on stage. You made all everybody just crack up laughing." Well, that's because you were present and you were listening, not thinking, because you can't do both.
I love that no matter what area I'm talking to people in, and I say this about self-help books and behavioral science books
Right.
as well, that the overarching theme is presence is the answer to everything.
It is oh because we that's our essential nature. That's our default state. You can listen to Simon Sinek or it doesn't matter, Eckhart
Eckhart
Tolle.
Tolle, anybody.
But see, that's just if you like Eckhart Tolle, great. Listen to him over and over. It doesn't matter to me. Like he's sharing truth, and it took me decades to see that. Like, um, you show up and it's a come as you are party, and certain things work out, certain things don't. I mean, it's interesting. Like the people that have all these dreams and aspirations, great. I have pipe dreams. Listen. I know what my calling is because I'm listening to my own wisdom. I know that I'm good at this. I know that I'm a great coach. Um, I know that I love the podcast. I know that my book's doing great. And I'm also a pretty cool brother and a pretty cool partner to my lady. And I'm like we are living life. We're just letting life but when we let life live us, ADHD is not a problem anymore. Like, and if you
What a
try a
great.
technique or tool, if you try a technique or tool, what do? We're just adding more thinking on top of thinking, and it gets louder. Because what are we doing? We're going back up into the ADHD house of horrors, I call it. It's the haunted house with the murders and the storms and the ghosts and the spooky shit. But we get glimpses of presence all day long. That's when we are seeing out the window of the house of horrors, and it's clear blue skies. It's Santa Monica Beach. It's Malibu. It's Santa Barbara. That's what's true. And then we very innocently go back up into the House of Horrors, and we're going up and down levels of consciousness. We're anxious. I woke up. I was tired. I woke up tired and a little cranky. But here I'm talking to you right now, and I'm present. Right? It's like we still have our humanness. And again, I'm not discounting the fact that people have suffered with ADHD. I'm not saying that like none of that's true. But again, it's just life. We're just life and stuff. We're just, you know, we're just living life. But once we let life live us, because we're not in charge, we're not. We show up to stuff. You show up to auditions. You have an agent, and he or she gets you gigs, right? You don't know what's gonna happen, but you trust life,
Hmm.
right? And then in the middle of all, in between, okay, you might forget hit record. I'm just, I'm messing with you, right? I'm just fucking with you. You might um, stub your toe. You might have a flat tire. Okay, welcome to the human condition. Life's a contact sport, right? But see, what happens is once you start trusting life, not only is that wisdom space, that delicious sweet spot in the tennis racket space that I've been pointing you to during this conversation, but you begin to see how resilient you really are. Like that's who we are. Like if I follow like Galina, Galina Ravina, I'm just gonna say that, your relatives didn't come from America. Am I wrong?
No, you're right. I wasn't even born here.
Yeah. I'm not gonna, I don't know where you were from. Galina sounds Latin?
Ukraine.
Slavo Ukraine. My
Thank you.
grandfather's from Radomishel.
Oh, wow.
I'm half Ukrainian. Cool. Anyways, you got here. How did that happen? Well, they showed up to the dock. They filed some papers, or they were smuggled in. My grandfather came over from Ukraine in 1920 something as a teenager. It's cool. Ukraine.
Yeah,
Ukrainians are the funniest people. Why?
because we've suffered the most.
No. Well,
I'm a
because
Ukrainian Jew too, so it's just like add to it that there's a lot of what do they
yeah,
call it? Generational trauma to pull from.
intergeneration trauma. Yeah, me too. Um, that's really cool. But like, see, this is the thing. Ukrainians or people, anybody, doesn't matter. You can be wherever you're. We see our inner resilience. That's why Ukrainians are probably some of the funniest, most heart-centered, stoic yet gracious people you ever met. And it's funny you mentioned Ukraine because I actually have a friend who is a hospitaler. He's a volunteer. He's a paramedic,
Wow.
and he volunteers. He was in Kherson and some horrible, and he was in what else? Not Kherson, not Kherson. My God, to the north. It doesn't matter. Anyways, and he's a funny guy, and they love him as a. He's also, he's a big responsibility because he goes into the medic. He helped evacuate some of the villages to the east of Kiev. Um, but what he said to me, he's like, Sam, when I'm present, because he was diagnosed with ADHD, we're getting to he was diagnosed with ADHD. He's from Canada, he's Canadian. He's like, none of that matters. He's like, I make I make a grandmother laugh who's losing who has to evacuate her village, and it's like the horrors of the war just disappear, right? I told you I had a client, who was in Dnipro, a client in Dnipro. Apartment building was bombed, right? But she's like, he's like, Sam, I see my inner resilience all the time, even with this brain that works differently. Like I'm in the shelter, I'm in the bomb shelter and I'm present.
Wow.
How isn't that cool? We're brilliantly designed. We're so beautifully designed. Like you can be you can be, you know, witnessing your building being blown up and then go playing soccer with your kids an hour later. Or not, or being in the bomb shelter. We are built to see our inner resilience. I mean, my family are Ukrainian Jews from Radomishel, like the claim to fame with that is Herb Albert, Herb Albert, the trumpet player.
I'm
You've
not
heard of it.
familiar.
Yeah, well, you've heard of him if you listen to the song Rise. It's like it was anyways, his grandfather was from Radomishel. Like, but we got there, like, and became a famous trumpet player. And the reason why he became a famous trumpet player because he trusted life. He saw his own inner wisdom and he's like, I had this love for the trumpet and he started playing. He didn't know. He's worth couple of $100 million. It was Albert and the Tijuana Brass. Herb Albert wrote an album called Right. I'm sure your parents know about it. Anyways, my point is like letting life live you, letting wisdom have its way with us is natural because you wouldn't be here right now. Who knows? I wouldn't be here right now. None of us would be. It's probably be in a mud hut in Ukraine somewhere, like where my grandfather came from, a small little shtetl in, right? I mean, so we're all living our truth when we start to see beyond the noise.
I love that framework so much. I'm curious, with everying you've
Da.
seen. What is your take on medication? What's your stance?
I call it training wheels. I was on methylphenidate, Ritalin, Concerta for years. And then I wasn't because I had this insight like I don't need it anymore. You know, for me, when I drink coffee, which is really funny, I get tired.
Mm.
You want to hear another fun fact about
Please.
ADHD and neurodiversity? Ashkenazi Jews have the highest per capita or per statistics of ADHD diagnoses, and a lot of these Ashkenazi Jews live in Tel Aviv. I don't know why. Isn't that interesting? Like,
It's not too surprising to me because of the correlation, at least for me, with ADHD and anxiety. And Jews are anxious. Everyone knows that. It's very much a
and we're the
stereotype, and it's
funniest.
out
We're
the
the
gate.
funniest.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, we're the funniest too. So it goes hand in hand. But can you imagine if Jerry Seinfeld believed his anxiety was true? He would never be a comedian.
right.
It's just I call anxiety like car exhaust, you know? It's just like, it's like a cognitive fart. Like I didn't know you were of Ukraine. That's fantastic. I mean yeah, you get I'm sure you look see, you get the Latin.
Mhm.
That's so cool.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
What part of Ukraine?
Odessa.
Oh, beautiful. Seaport.
Hmm.
Yeah. How long have you been in the States?
Since I was 5.
Okay.
Yeah, hence
Yeah.
the no accent.
Yeah, but you speak Ukrainian or
I speak
Russian?
Russian.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they didn't teach it back then.
Yeah. Soviet Union stuff. Yeah, for sure. That's so cool. I would never have guessed. That's
Yeah.
very cool. Cool. So yeah,
Um, mhm.
so diagnosis, medication wise, I always say they're like it's like training wheels, right? Some people are on it for the rest of their life. You know, I think that like if it's helping you, then great. If not, then stop it. It's you know but the only thing with psychostimulants, it's a there's an abuse potential with it.
Right.
Um, that it can it's like anything. You get addicted to it, but especially psychostimulants. But I haven't taken it in years because that was my time. I didn't need it anymore. It's helpful. It was helpful, but like um I just had that insight. Like I needed to have that like aha, I don't need it anymore moment. So
Without medication, if you're working with someone who identifies as ADHD or they've been
yeah.
diagnosed with it and they're coming up against something in life where they have to lock in. It's do or die. They have to find a way to be laser focused on something. What is your advice? How do they work with the ADHD and still be able to lock in and get done whatever needs to get done?
Well, ADHDs are famous for locking in actually because we
Mm,
hyper focus on stuff all the time, right?
right.
Like
But is it
you
what
know,
we're supposed to be hyper focusing
well, we have
on?
an interest-based brain. ADHDers have an interest-based brain, right? So what I say is that if, obviously we got to pay bills, we got to take a shower, we got to eat, we got to do, the basic stuff too. Um, but again, that feeling of resistance to do the things we don't want to do, ADHDers wise, is still thought-based,
Mm,
which is made up. And then the thought is attached to our physiology, so it's like kicking and screaming to like I have to pay my electric bill because they're gonna turn the electricity off kind of thing. But like when I notice that resistance in my body, I know where it is. For me, it's in my solar plexus. It's like right here. And I know that's never true. I know that's made up. It's never true. That resistance feeling, things, oh fuck, I gotta do this. I gotta pay a bill. God, where am I? Like, oh, the fuck feeling. I know not to trust it, right? I used to have the hardest time waking up in the morning. Hardest time, right? I used to keep my medication by my bed, thinking that that was going to do something like it's a magical pill. Bing, it's like bing, you take the Ritalin, it's like, no, I made that up. My pattern was I would toss and turn, and go through the motions of not being able to get up in the morning, cranky, groggy, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, wait, I've conditioned myself to believe that that's my pattern. That's true. It's made up. I made that up. And even if I wake up in the morning and I'm just like, oh my God, that feeling where you feel like you got a cement blanket on over you, that's made up too. And your brain, your intellect, and I can see your brain just the wheels are turning right now, Galina, looking at me, is that oh, that's not true. Sam, you don't know what my strife is. You don't know what I suffer a lot with that. That's made up too. The intellect fills in the blanks and makes stuff up. And when it feels constricted or doesn't feel well, that's even more of a clue that you can't trust your thinking. And all you need to do is see it, get up from bed, do what you need to do. Like there's no gun to your head, like saying like, you need to really pay attention to these thoughts right now because the thoughts disappear. They're gone and thinking changes. And if you don't do anything about your thinking, it settles anyways. It may be uncomfortable, but welcome to the world of living. Welcome to the human experience, right?
What's something you know about ADHD that you wish everybody knew?
Oh, that's a good question. That's a juicy one. That it's a superpower. It really is, you know. Um, you just got to learn how to use your mind to work for you. It's there's a great movie, and I'm aging myself, called Major League with not Martin Sheen. Who's Martin Sheen's son? Help me
Charlie?
here. Charlie. I love Charlie. Charlie Sheen. It's a movie from the late 80s where he's got a fastball. It's like 150-mile-an-hour fastball. It's the fat like no one's ever seen a pitcher throw a ball so fast, but he can't see worth shit, and he keeps every time he throws the ball, he hits the batter, right, or it goes, it doesn't hit the strike zone. He's like, and then one day the coach is like, you know what? I think you need glasses. So he gets glasses, and he strikes. He's got the highest strikeout average in the entire league. That's the same thing with the ADHD. Just like a fighter pilot goes to pilot training school to learn how to fly, the science of flight. You learn about all the instruments, you learn about the nuance of flight, you learn about emergency, like you learn how to fly a plane, not just you don't just sit in the cockpit and fly. Same thing with an ADHDer. You work with a coach like me, and you begin to see what our thought and thinking systems really telling us in the moment. That because I'm only living in the experience of my thinking in any given moment, not the outside world, and that I have free will to choose what thoughts I want to birth into the world from the formless, from the land of make, from the wish, from the land of make believe into form. And I'm always one thought away from a new experience if I take my hand off my thinking and I drop it like it's hot when it's not serving my greater purpose. And you could see people that do that naturally from people that are caught up. The ones that are aware of what I'm pointing to suffer less. They still get caught up. I still have anxiety. I still have overwhelm. I still have all kinds. I have 40,000 crazy thoughts running through my head in this crazy cortex of my brain every day. That's okay. I mean, I got a Metallica concert up between my ears. It's loud. It's really loud, even as I'm speaking to you. But it doesn't stop me from doing an episode with Galina because I'm so excited to talk to her because her and I have a lot of knowledge to share with our audience here. Like, it's pretty damn cool. And we're beautifully designed. We're so perfectly designed to handle any thoughts that come through our head. And when we see that to be true, we see our inner resilience and we see our wisdom. And we're doing it anyways, ladies and gentlemen. And the ones that don't, they get in trouble, they rob a bank because they're listening. They have a freak accident. Anyways, like This is a gift. I'm not trying to get all pseudo spiritual and all that, but it is. It's like it's amazing. We are built so amazing. Think about like your eyes right now. Like I can zoom in or look at like I'm looking at my bookcase right now. I don't even have to think about it. I'm just doing it, right? How cool. I mean, like it's like we always know what to do when we trust life underneath the noise of our thinking. We just know what to do. Like when you get off this call right now, this conversation, you're gonna do what you do next, right? And check it off the list, your checklist.
Hmm.
Beautiful. Like our intellect overcomplicates everything. Our intellect is not where our wisdom is. Intellect's great for solving quadratic equations and for Google search and for learning what the timing is on a 95 Honda Accord, or whatever. Great. Become a mechanical engineer, if you want to. Great. But we don't design the car with our intellect. Something within us that none of us can explain. God consciousness, I don't, Hashem, if we're going to get all technical. Jesus, whomever, there's something within us that is guiding us along this river of life if we trust it. And I've said this to you before. I'm going to say it to you again. That's why, Galina, you're a really funny comedian because you are trusting that what comes out of your mouth is going to be funny. And if it's not, well, then that's okay. You go back and you'll figure it out. But you don't figure it out with your intellect. You figure it out with something underneath the intellect that's God given to all of us. Whether you believe in God or not, this higher energy, whatever, that's what's on offer. That's what's always been true. And again, ADHD is just a label because that's all we got. That's what I'm working with right now. If they called it a turkey sandwich on rye, then I'd say, okay, all the turkey sandwich on rye people come talk to me and hire me. So
Incredible. Well, I know you are running out of time here,
I
so
am.
go ahead and let people know where they can find you if they want to
Yeah.
work with you.
Thank you, Galina. I am on Instagram, samled1111. You can DM me there. You go to my website, samledconsulting.com. You can find me. I think TikTok's going bye-bye, right? On Sunday or something.
I hope not. I
Yeah, I think it is.
think they extended it again.
Oh, really? Okay. I'm on TikTok, samled1111, LinkedIn, samled, and you can go on my website if you want to learn more about how I work and how to um, retain me. And it's just an honor to be here with you, Galina. And especially because you're Ukrainian,
Oh, that's
Slavo-Ukrainian.
awesome. Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for talking to me today, Sam.
Thank you.
Of course, and thank you everybody for listening. Bye.